Okay, so let's talk about something that happens every single time you walk into a room. Every conversation you have, there's this silent negotiation going on right under the surface. And it's not about who's the loudest or who has the fancy title. It's about an invisible force that kind of dictates the whole interaction. Today, we're going to make that force visible. I mean, you've been there, right? You're in a meeting, you've got a great idea, but somehow everyone just gloms onto someone else's point. Or maybe you're in a debate with a friend, and it feels like you're talking, but they're not really listening. Your reality just doesn't seem to be getting through. Well, that feeling, it's not random. It's a sign that you've lost control of this invisible game. And this right here is the absolute core rule of that game. It's a pretty high-stakes idea, but it's also incredibly simple. Every interaction has a dominant perspective, a frame, and you are always doing one of two things. You're either setting that frame or you are stepping into a reality that someone else has already created. There is no neutral territory. So if we're always either setting a frame or getting caught in one, what in the world is a frame? This isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. It's a real, concrete tool that shapes how people see you and react to everything you do. You could almost call it the architecture of our social reality. The easiest way to think about it is like this. A frame is the operating system for a conversation. It sets all the background rules. Who's the expert in the room? Who's the one trying to get something? And who's the one with the prize? Who needs whose approval? The person with the dominant frame gets to decide all of that, usually without anyone even realizing it's happening. And this is where we get it totally wrong most of the time. We think the person with the strongest frame must be the loudest, the most energetic, the one with all the charisma. But the real power, it isn't about force at all. It's about two things: belief and composure. The person who is most certain of their reality and is the least reactive when others try to challenge it, that's the person who reads. The less you bend, the more everyone else just sort of unconsciously accepts your version of events. Okay, so we get the what. We know what a frame is and where its true power comes from. But how do you actually do it? How do you build and hold a strong frame? Because it's not about just, willing it to happen. There are specific, practical tools you can use. So let's get into the toolkit. Here are the big four. A pattern interrupt is when you do something that snaps someone out of their usual script. A quiet reframe gently pivots their perspective without a fight. Permissionless certainty is all about that calm, forward momentum. And disengaged authority, which, man, might be the most powerful of all, is about showing you don't need things to go a certain way. Each one of these strengthens your frame while chipping away at the other person's. Let's just zoom in on the quiet reframe for a second. The magic here is how subtle it is. See, when you say bet, it automatically creates a conflict. It puts people on the defensive. But when you say and, you're validating them. That makes sense. And then you're building on it, steering the whole conversation where you want it to go. It feels like collaboration, not combat. But here's the thing. Frame control is not just about what you say. It's physical. All those tools we just talked about, they're powered by these tiny micro behaviors that signal a deep belief in your reality. And it all starts with just being still. Fidgeting, nodding along to everything, anxiously leaning in, those are reactions. They show you're working inside someone else's world. Stillness, though? Stillness communicates that you are the fixed point in the room. You're the center of gravity. And this goes for your pace, too. Talking really fast can come across as needy, right? Like you're rushing to get their approval before they tune out. But when you deliberately slow down, you actually force them to lean in. They have to adjust to your rhythm. You're literally pulling them into your reality, one word at a time. Now, this one can feel a little backwards, but it is so critical. Shouting is a sign of a weak frame trying to force its way in, but a lower, softer voice, that signals deep confidence. It implies, I believe what I'm saying so strongly, I don't need to yell to convince you. You'll listen. And finally, using silence. When someone asks you a question, that urge to just jump in with an answer immediately is huge. But resisting that urge, that is a massive power move. That little pause before you speak creates weight. It signals that you own your time, you own your thoughts, and whatever you're about to say is worth waiting for. So at this point, you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds a little bit like mind tricks or some kind of weird sales guru tactic. And you know what? That's a totally fair question. So let's actually look at whether this is all just clever phrasing or if it's actually grounded in some real science. I mean, That's the real question we have to ask, isn't it? Are things like pattern interrupts and disengaged authority just catchy names for things people have figured out? Or is there something real and substantial going on here? Let's check the evidence. And the answer is a big, resounding yes. This stuff is very real. The idea of a pattern interrupt, it maps directly onto established psychological concepts like schema disruption. The disengaged authority tactic, that's basically the core principle of BATNA, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement, straight out of negotiation theory. And all those microbehaviors, well, they're documented in decades of research on nonverbal status cues. So no, these aren't just tricks, this is applied behavioral science. All right, so theory's great, the science is fascinating, but the real test is always application. How can you start using this stuff right away without feeling awkward or, like you're playing a character? It really just starts with a few small, deliberate actions. This is your starter kit. Seriously, 3 easy things. First, in your very next meeting, just be the one to define its purpose at the top. Boom, you've set a frame. Second, try to catch yourself before you say but and swap it for that makes sense and. And third, just practice that simple 2-beat pause. Don't try to master everything at once. Pick one, just one, and watch how the dynamic in the room starts to shift around you. Ultimately, this all comes down to a really simple principle of social physics. The person with the most stable center of gravity is the one who influences everyone else. It's not about force, it's about presence. Just remember that idea. The one who doesn't move, moves everyone else. It's not about winning arguments. It's about defining the reality where those arguments even happen. So the question is, who will you be in the next room?